Hello, Peter Pfaffenberger here. I'm going to do a presentation on standardized tests. Going to talk about things such as the history of standardized tests all the way up to alternatives for standardized tests. Let's go to the first slide. Here's the history and current practice in Ohio. The use of standardized testing accelerated in 2002 when the No Child Left Behind Act was signed by President Bush, fittingly in Hamilton, Ohio. Standardized testing had been around, however, since the mid-1800s. There were always proponents and opponents of standardized testing, and this debate has not yielded even in the year 2021. Current practice in Ohio is to administer the OAT, the Ohio Achievement Test, and the OGT, Ohio Graduation Test, starting in third grade. How is it administered? The standardized test manual describes specific procedures for administration, exactly how the test should be given. These directions must be read word for word by the teacher or test administrator. The tests are then timed, and the children will usually fill in bubbles with a pencil. Children are often spread apart as much as possible, and bulletin boards are often covered up. There's some justification for its use. The procedures for a test are exactly the same for each and every student. If standardized procedures were not used, it would be very difficult to judge a child's progress, especially compared with other children. The test's reliability and validity have been established. All first graders are scored along with other first graders, so that's a plus. The tests are very secure, so there is no cheating, and the tests are timed. How is the data used? Data is used to tell how many students fall within a certain percentile rank on a normal curve. Average, mean, and median score data are gathered as well to tell what a typical score may be. Tests can reveal general trends of someone's teaching for future adjustment. So the teacher can really look back on that and see where they need to adjust their teaching strategies. Data is used to inform parents of where their child stands in relation to other children of the same grade level. So that's also very important, especially during parent-teacher conferences. If teachers focus on standardized test information, is that good for authentic learning? It's helpful to describe what authentic learning means. To me, it means not learning or memorizing facts that might be on a test. Learning in school also means learning how to think, how to behave, how to explore ideas, and use one's imagination. So I agree that teaching to the test is a horrible way to go through school for both the students and the teachers. Number one, it takes all of the fun out of schooling. One thing I learned in a prior class is to try to make daily lessons as fun, interesting, and engaging as possible. Kids don't want to learn if they're bored. They simply won't care. And this is what the lawmakers don't understand. Perhaps the ones who make the laws should be actual teachers. Number two, memorization only goes so far. It's like a foreign language. If you don't use it, you lose it. Education and learning has to have meaning for the student. Otherwise, it is simply trivia. Number three, teachers are under way too much pressure to have their students perform well on the standardized tests. The tests, to me, are not fair to anyone. What is the role of standardized testing in early childhood education? Early childhood education, according to the NAEYC, is basically preschool through third grade or up to age 8. Ohio has a standardized test for preschoolers called the Early Learning Assessment. It is used as a way to know if students are ready for kindergarten. Ohio has a standardized test for kindergartners as part of the third grade reading guarantee. This test is called the Kindergarten Readiness Assessment for Literacy, or CRAWL. Third graders in Ohio also take the Ohio Achievement Test, OAT, for the first time because it is third graders through graduation who must take these tests, and third grade is part of early childhood education. Alternatives to standardized tests. There are a few of them, and three that I found in my research were, number one, game-based assessment. They are more or less disguised as a test, but it feels more like a game is being played. This reduces a lot of the test anxiety many students have. An example is called numerosity. It can be played on a cell phone or a tablet. An example question is, what two numbers equal 8? 3 numbers are displayed in certain shapes, like an octagon, and the student clicks on the 2 numbers, making it more interesting and fun. Number 2 is called the Gallup Student Poll. This is a poll that asks questions, or really gives statements, to measure mental aspects such as hope and overall well-being, which are indicators of success later in life. We all need our mental health, right? It looks like a series of short statements. One statement would be, there is an adult in my life who cares about my future. And then they would rate that. Number 3 would be portfolio-based assessment. This is using a year-long student portfolio as the assessment. This is great because it's a true representation of what the student has been learning all year long. This portfolio can show learning that is not just rote learning for the standardized test. It would literally look like a folder or a binder of some sort that encompasses samples of the child's work during the school year. Samples could include math tests, social studies assignments, art projects, etc. And here is my bibliography of all of my research, if you'd like to peruse that. So I want to thank you for listening to my presentation. Good day.